Chief of everything else, Keith Smith. Welcome, gentlemen. How's it going?
Going good. How are you
Hey,
doing?
great. We
Very
all
well.
haven't gotten together in a little while.
No, we haven't. And as much as I'd love to catch up, I gotta imagine the people watching don't really, they don't care. You know what I mean? They don't want to know how my day's been. They just want to get into these questions. So let's dive right in. And maybe when we all meet somewhere, then you can ask me all you like. Or you're welcome to DM. All right. So, but no, today we're going to cover some frequently asked questions about the Bitcoin ATM business, go over the basics of compliance, the machines themselves, what an operator does on a day-to-day basis, some frequently asked errors, some newer operators can make, and some seasoned operators too. So it's always nice to hear some refreshing tips. All right. So we'll start out with Keith, because Keith looks like he's ready with his headphones. So we'll start with the basics of an ATM machine, Bitcoin ATM machine. The difference between a one-way machine, a two-way machine, those seem to be the main two that are on the market. Which ones do you feel are better? What does ChainBytes offer?
All right, so the basics. Well, a Bitcoin ATM is a cash receiving machine, obviously. That's where 95% of all of the business comes from, is people buying Bitcoin. The other 5%, and this helps you capture a larger market, particularly when you're looking to source Bitcoin to sell to other customers. The other 5% comes from people coming to sell you their Bitcoin. So we sell both. You can have it as a one-way, but we mainly sell two-way Bitcoin ATMs. And the reason being is that you get a larger market. You can capture a customer from one of your competitors where they can't sell Bitcoin. And then they get to have the whole purchasing and selling Bitcoin experience through our software, which I like to argue is the best experience. And why would they go anywhere else after that? So, a Bitcoin ATM is essentially a steel box, and it's like a heavy gauge steel, and it's to protect everything inside. You got a touch screen. The touch screen is where the customer interacts with the software. And then on the inside, you've got a computer, you got hard drives, and that all ties in with, internet and into a recycler. The recycler, what it is it receives the cash. So it's just like a cash receiver, but it takes the cash and it rolls it up onto a drum in the back. And this holds that cash back there for when a customer comes to sell their Bitcoin. And that's why it's called a recycler, because it'll then recycle that cash back out to a customer. Now, in the case that, you don't have a customer that comes to sell you any Bitcoin, because, most customers like to buy Bitcoin, then in that case, you do what we call a smart empty, and you empty it down into the cash box, and you pull all the cash out of the machine. Now, one of the most common questions that I get from my customers is, should I put cash into the recycler for customers to sell me Bitcoin? And that's a no. Why? Because you're only dealing with 5% of your clientele, and that'll come sell you Bitcoin. If they want to sell you Bitcoin, you want to have your phone number available, because they will call your number and say, why can't I sell Bitcoin at your Bitcoin ATM? And then you can send them to one of your Bitcoin ATMs that has cash ready to sell. And then you have to plan not to pick up cash from that machine. So it's pretty basic with a Bitcoin ATM. It's the software that runs everything, and that's the important part. As for security on these machines, inside, once you get through the outer case, the steel shell, there's an extra. It's like about a 1/4 inch thick solid steel welded together safe and a S&G lock. And I can tell you right now, it's not easy getting into one of those. We lost the PIN code to the S&G lock on one of the machines, and busting into that sucker. I tried everything. I tried strings. I tried picking it. I tried code hangers. I tried everything possible to get into this machine. And try to reverse engineer, look at how the other machines, how to get in and everything. Eventually, we ended up unbolting everything, pulling it out, which will kill you. So I don't recommend doing this, okay? Because the safe itself is a heavy part of the machine. getting it out and smashing it with a sledgehammer. That didn't work. Ended up angle grinding it and sparks flying everywhere. It took me over a year to get into that safe, and I finally got into it. But it took a lot of noise and a lot of force and a black eye. Can't hear you, Mike.
And you got a black eye from it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Because
machine decided to punch
while
you.
I was
After a year, I probably
You and
would have punched
Fernando
your
both.
back.
It wasn't just him. There were other people trying to get into the stupid
yeah,
thing.
two grown men trying to bust into this thing, and once we both were like, okay, that's it, we're gonna just destroy it, and any cash inside, it's just a side, like we were determined to get into it just to see how we will finally get into it. We finally got into it, and we didn't destroy the cash, but we did hurt the recycler in the process.
Well, for anybody that is listening that wants to, that does want to get into an ATM machine, especially a ChainBytes BTM, probably the best way is to become an operator. You own it, and then you can just own the key and open it up. And there's two different types of machines that we have. So, but the newest one that's out, Eric, I wanted to talk about this. So, the latest model that's out, it's listen, I love the ChainBytes Plus. That's a nice looking machine, but this one's nice and sleek. And the price point too is incredible. So, and that's the feedback that a lot of people have been giving us. So, how did you come up with this? How did you decide on this type of machine? For anyone that doesn't know, I know you look at a lot of different things before you decide to, make it go. So.
Well, we bought one for ourselves and played around with it, and we were sold on it. We didn't really think we buy a lot of these machines. Oh yeah, let's see this. We buy a lot of different machines from a lot of different places, and most of it's garbage. We end up not using it. This one, we were like, this is great. Like it's got a small footprint. It's cheaper. We can put all the good equipment in there. There's still a good safe in there. Like it's got everything that we were looking for. So we just decided to deploy it, and now we're like, well, wow, let's just do this over and over again. So we have a company that we operate machines in as well, just to test this stuff. And yeah, I mean, it takes up less space, and it looks nice. It just looks cool. It doesn't have the second screen. That's the only downside really to it.
Yeah, so and that is a downside, by the way.
Yeah.
We've got operating locations where I had to swap out an old machine that was like over 5 years old, and it needs so much hardware things done to it, and rather than me sit there and try diagnosing the store for hours and hours and hours, bring it back to the shop to work on it and see what
We put a
parts.
little one in. They're
Yeah,
easier to get in and out too. Yeah.
well, no. I decided not to put one of these in there for the reason it doesn't
Oh.
have the top screen, and this is our one location because the top screen is how you see the Bitcoin ATM in that store, and you just wouldn't see. There's just not enough space in the store, where you could move it somewhere else where you'd be able to see it. So it works in most circumstances, but like you said with the top screen, sometimes top screen's better.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, some stores, they're pretty crowded, so you really need to get it out there. You need the height, you need the recognition. That's true.
Okay. So I'd like to go over briefly what we're going to go over in the rest, at least in this portion of the webinar. So just the basics for an operator to get started: the compliance, locations, setting the machines up themselves, cash handling, marketing. So starting with compliance, what would we say is the first step in compliance?
You want me to take that? So first thing you need to do is get a compliance program set up. We have a sister company that we work with that can certainly do that. And then you need a compliance officer, anyone operating in the United States. If you're operating outside of the United States, it really depends on the country, but we'll just talk about the United States. On a federal level, you need a designated compliance officer with a compliance program, a risk assessment. You'll get a like maybe every 2-3 years, the IRS will do a compliance audit, not a financial audit, but to basically go over your program. And you'll be required to file SARs and CTRs. So again, you'd want to use a company. If you're unfamiliar with the terminology I just used, then you'd want to use this company. It's a small cost. Let them handle it, learn it. And if you want to take it on yourself, that's fine. But starting off, if you don't already know that market, I would highly suggest utilizing that company. You should have an attorney anyway, but there's also an attorney that we can refer them to through that company that can help them through the process and get some help in the state that they're in as well.
Okay.
Because each
So
state works
compliance is
differently. So on a federal level, everything I just talked about is on a federal level. Now, on a state level, depending on the state that you're in, you may need a money transmitter license. You may not need you may need a letter to a no action letter. You may need a lot of different things. So again, I can't give legal advice. That's where they would come into play. They'd advise you as to what they believe the truth is. But in essence,
Yeah, a lot of
you need a
states are
compliance program,
similar.
and then you need to implement it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of states are similar, but there's quite a few states that they all like there's probably over a dozen that are completely different from each other. So it really is important to look on a state by state basis and see what you're gonna,
Yeah, there's
you
really
know,
difficult ones like New York and California now, North Carolina. There's really easy ones like Pennsylvania and some most states, frankly, are easy. And then you have these really weird ones in Connecticut and Massachusetts. Like you're a little unsure, which is even worse than honestly, in my opinion. At least you know in the other case, but here you're not sure, which is honestly worse. And then there are some gray areas in some other states, but in general, it's now the market's pretty much certain.
So it's definitely important to comply. It's important to do your own
Yes.
research for sure. So as far as so as far as a list of like a checklist of what you would need to do start to finish to become a Bitcoin ATM operator. So for instance, if you just happen to walk past a BTM machine and then you want to know what this checklist is, this is available on our website and we can point you to it, and you're always welcome to contact us too. What we're doing in this webinar is going through each one of those steps. So we brought compliance up front because that is one of the most important.
It's the most
they're all
complicated
important,
piece
but
for
that's
most
important.
people. Yeah, it's most important, and it's the one that people are least familiar with usually if they come
Correct.
from a tech background or really almost any background unless they're in compliance are going to be unfamiliar with it. And that's why I say don't do it on your own. Let them advise you. It's not difficult to do. Once you understand what you need to do, it's very simple. All these things I just said, it's just, it's a matter of learning what it is, keep training, which is again another requirement. And it's pretty straightforward. But that'll be your biggest learning curve in this business.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the key takeaway at this point is just you can't just buy a machine and just plug it in and hope it works out. So and just plug it in somewhere. So speaking of
well, no, I
somewhere,
mean nothing will happen anyway. Nobody will come, and you have to market it. There are other parts of the business, but usually those parts of the business people are familiar with enough that when you tell them here's what you need to do, that makes sense. When I start saying CTRs and SARs, they're like, what does that mean? Yeah, here, this company will help you.
Right.
So.
And if you don't know what those things are, before you Google them, just ask them. So, but locations. So when we talk about locations, some people ask, does ChainBytes provide the locations? And if not, how do they go about finding their location? So we'll talk about that for a little bit. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to pay me $50,000 a location, I'll gladly provide you locations. But honestly,
we don't provide locations. We don't provide locations, but we get like it's pretty simple. People think it's harder than it is. Like people come and go, oh, I have 10 locations. Okay, I mean I could get that in one day. It's very easy to get locations. That is not the hard part at all. You're literally going. You're not going in and selling anything. You're going in and saying, hey, would you like to earn more money in your store? The store owner doesn't want that, right? Oh, now they got skill games and things like that. They're earning money on the floor, but retail space. You pay them retail, whatever it is in your area, $200-$300, all the way up to $1,000 if it's a fantastic location, and that location's yours. They'll operate it. They'll see the machine, and if it's doing well, they'll want more money probably, and you'll work on an agreement with them. But in general, finding somebody to say yes and try it out, what do they got to lose? A couple $100 a month in their pocket. They're not taking the risk. You are. So it's important you find a good location, obviously, for that reason, because otherwise you're just going to be paying rent and not earning money. But
I was talking to a landlord today, and he said that he gets asked a lot at a certain type of location compared to another. He's got the skill games in vape shops, and he's got them in tobacco and vape shops, which are convenience store type vape shop or tobacco stores where you can go get lotto cards and drinks and all kinds of other things. And he said that, the convenience store one, people keep asking when you're going to put a Bitcoin ATM in here. And but the vape store, nobody's ever asked him. He's like, why? He asked me, what's the difference here? I was like, well, honestly, it's the clientele difference. Like the people that are going to the vape only shop are basically a younger generation, whereas the older generation goes to the tobacco shop, and that tends to be where the main demographic is that uses Bitcoin ATMs. So, that's something to consider is, when you're looking for locations, you want something that's convenient but also inclusive, where anybody can walk in.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, some of our locations are like really community based, right? So people walk into the store. It's a bodega. It's sort of a city. A lot of locations is just the easy in and out. People are getting gas there anyway, stopping in for coffee. It's convenient. Those do well. Truck stop near truck locations seem to do real well. Truckers use the machines a lot. They'll drive by, they'll hear about it, and they'll stop in. We couldn't figure out why we saw these commercial licenses at certain locations, and I don't know. They're definitely if you're going to hit a demographic, truckers. They're a demographic.
Okay. Shifting into cash handling because you brought that up earlier. So you mentioned you don't necessarily have to load the machines because the customers that are purchasing Bitcoin are going to be they'll end up loading the machines themselves. So as far as handling the cash, the operators have the choice of taking care of it themselves as a company, or or subbing it out to
Yeah,
armored car
just like
services.
a
So what do you
traditional
think?
ATM company. You can choose if you only have a few machines, you're probably going to do the cash yourself. For two reasons. One, it doesn't make sense to spend all the money on armored car service and the banking and everything that goes into just a few machines. And second, you're not going to have a lot of cash, so you're going to want to empty it more often. And so if you only have a couple locations, that's fine. Once you start getting a lot of locations, then you're going to start thinking about armored car service and having them service the machines and pulling the cash out. But like Keith said, you don't load it with cash. Like a traditional ATM, you load it with cash and it empties out. So you're not tying up cash in machines, you're only tying up your Bitcoin that you're selling, and then the cash that fills up the machine. So you can empty it at any time. So your cash starvation in this business is a little different than the ATM business. You don't have to lay out as much cash, and obviously your premiums are much higher and your margins are much higher. So, but you lay out less cash. And again, if you want to go every day and pick up your cash, you really lay out very little cash. It's almost real time, buying it back. So.
Okay. You mentioned marketing too when I jokingly said you can't just plug one ATM machine in
Yeah.
and hope it works out. So but you're absolutely right. Marketing is a big part of it. So what do you see as the most effective type of marketing? Obviously, you said people that walk into this business with a marketing background, it's good, but specifically for the BTM business, what have you noticed is the most effective?
Physical marketing. Physical marketing at our locations is the most effective, and we
And what
we
do you mean
see
by
it.
that?
Physical marketing, as in putting signs out, and this is not just operations that that we're involved in, but like our customers, they tell me the same thing. When they put physical marketing outside, and compared to their locations where they're not allowed to put any physical marketing outside, there's a huge difference in revenue, like a massive difference, to the point where I actually tell landlords that if I can't put physical marketing outside, I'm just going to pull the machine and put it somewhere that I can, because it's about making more money. I can't pay you the rent that you want if I can't put a sign outside. So if I can put a sign outside, what happens is a customer might be traveling and looking for another Bitcoin ATM. They don't know where it is. They just know it's in this part of town. It's one of these gas stations. And then, it's got to be there because there's a Bitcoin sign there. And they pull in, and then you capture the customer. And this actually happens quite frequently. And you'll find these things out because once you get the ball rolling and you start talking to customers, you're going to want to ask them, how did you find my Bitcoin ATM? Because you want to see what marketing's working. And so physical marketing at locations is key. The second biggest thing is you want a salesperson at the job at each one of your Bitcoin ATMs. Why? Because you don't actually have to hire somebody to do this, but you technically are, because you're paying the landlord rent. So you might as well have them sign on to the job to come in and sell them on the Bitcoin. So if you've got a good relationship with your landlord and you show them how the machine works inside and out and say, hey, look, I'm going to drive customers into your store, all I need you to do is if they got any questions, tell them to call that phone number on the screen. Okay, because people will sit there and stare at the machine and be like, I don't know what to do, and they won't call. But all they need is the landlord or the manager to say, hey, you just call that number right there. They answer. Call that number and leave your, leave a message if they don't answer, and they're going to get back to you. And it works. Those locations. So the best locations are
Keith just named the two biggest things. And those, first of all, if we can't advertise somewhere, we really don't even deploy a machine there anymore, because it's like, we know it may work out, but for sure it's not going to be as good as the one down the street that's letting us put the signage out. Yeah, for sure. And second, we've known this for a while, is when we have the landlord or the manager or whoever's working in the store, the people that that work there, you get them engaged with the machine in some way. By far, I don't know. It's they just talk to the customer. They'll, hey, you need some help? A lot of times customers will come up and just look at the machine and be like, oh, I don't know, and just kind of walk off. They help with that a lot. Especially certain locations where, like, man, we'll pay you whatever, like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, so, at Christmas we give them some Bitcoin, but we're just paying the landlord, but they love us there. Like you said, we're helping his business. People are coming into his stores. So he wants us there. He's getting money from us every month. We're helping the customers when they have problems. So we're not leaving him stranded with the problem, because that's really a bad situation when a customer is confused or has a problem and the landlord or whoever's in the store isn't going to help you. There's no number on there to call. You just lost a customer. That's and a silly way to lose a customer, right? So just those little things in place, obviously having good customer service on the phone, but that engagement with the manager, whoever's working there day to day, or just one of the employees that likes Bitcoin, that's your guy. You work on it, you get them involved, and they'll be your advocate, and it makes a huge difference. So those are two good ones, Keith. I think those are the two top indicators of a good location.
A lot of brochures from our machines. So when they take the brochures from the machines, the brochures explain how to use the machine, how to get a wallet and everything. And people wouldn't be taking these brochures unless they were like, you know what, I just want to take the brochure and read this later, or I'll read it here. But they would probably put it back if they were going to, read it right there. They take it with them. And then they read it at home, and then they come back and they become customers. So, that's another physical form of marketing. Now, there's a lot of other marketing that we do and that work. Particularly, you want to have a Google business profile. So each one of these locations, you want to think about them as their own individual business, and you want to treat them as such. And so, if you got a Google business profile, you probably want to be producing some videos for the location. Hey, maybe somebody doesn't know where the Bitcoin ATM is in the store, or how to use the Bitcoin ATM. Well, you just record yourself walking into the store, to the location, and touching the Bitcoin ATM and buying Bitcoin. And then they see, oh, it's that easy. Now they know, hey, I can easily make that step, because, humans are visual people, or visual animals, and so we have to see things sometimes. So it's good to do that for your locations. I know that works too, because I've had customers say they've seen the videos. So that means that the videos are worth making. Other ways of marketing, like we tried radio advertising. That didn't work. I had a guy out there spinning a sign. Now, I don't think that worked, but it was a fun thing to do, because people were honking at him. But there's the only way. Now, we've done door hangers. I don't think that we saw anything on that. The only way is really by experimenting, and marketing is key. It's worth the investment to market, because if you just place a machine there and expect people to use it, it's not going to happen. Very rare will it happen.
Where do operators get the sign?
From a sign store.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you go to your local sign store. It depends on what you're better off local than just like, we get some signs from China, but really not anymore. We mostly get signs locally, depending on the location, specific to location.
Yeah, like the LED neon signs and stuff. You want to get online.
I don't know. I don't know how effective they are. We still put them in, and we still get them. I mean, we'll give you the address where you can buy those, but I don't know.
Well, I do know that they're effective, because that's customers have said that they've seen them. So That's,
Well, I've seen signs. Like I like the big signs. If we can put a big sign up front, that's I'm going for that. But if this is
well,
all
yeah.
we can put in the store, then it is something. But
But those you would get online, bandit signs, poster board signs, you get those are cheap online. But in general, having a good relationship with a local sign guy is key because you're not going to be able to install if you get a 4x8 sign to put up, you're not going to be able to put that up by yourself. So
just got to
it's
pull permits in a lot of these places and stuff too. So yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So with the new machine versus ChainBytes Plus, we had a question. So does the new machine support the SMG lock?
Yes.
Yep.
It does. Okay. In the beginning, is there really a major difference between, other than the price? What's the major difference between the two machines, especially for new operators starting out?
I would say the way that they look, their footprint,
The second screen is the biggest. The biggest.
The recycler that comes with this machine holds half as much cash. So if you're looking at let's say you've got a high volume location and that thing's filling up, well, then maybe you want to put a ChainBytes Plus machine in that location. Because you might not want to keep going back there frequently. But this is a good problem to have. Oh, I got a machine that just
And
keeps
it's really
filling up.
you don't let
money,
your
right?
machine get that full anyway. So it's
Yeah.
usually not that big a deal.
Yeah,
But
and I
again,
don't
if it
see
is, it's a good problem to have. It's just it's
and I don't see it becoming a big deal in general. But like he said, it's a good problem to have. It's much more compact, as you can see. I don't know if you can see the photo of it right now, but in the if you look at the actual inside, everything's pretty compact. It's organized. There's no empty space in there, and this actually makes it a better. You're not using up as much floor space. Where we deployed we tested one in the field for over a year to make sure that it was productive, and it's at a productive location. Where we deployed it at, it was impossible to put the other machine there because there was just 2 inches too small of a space, and that means that we couldn't put a Bitcoin ATM there. But we put this one there and it fit there. So that's a key difference, is that those couple inches actually do pay off when it comes to finding that square footage to put in a store. And that location is a productive location. So we're very happy to have that location.
Okay. So when you say half, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish up.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so when you say it holds half the cash as the other machines, it holds 600 notes, correct?
Okay, yeah. So
right.
that's in the recycler.
Right, that's in the recycler. So I mean, it's not like it only holds a tiny little bit. So just looking this up right here. So what's the price point on this one? I don't want to say the wrong number because then it'll come out of my pocket if I'm wrong. You know what I mean? So the price point on the ChainBytes V is what?
4,999 is that's where it starts at.
Keith Smith, did you just tell me that the two-way machine is 4,000? It's only $49.99.
Yep.
For one easy payment of $49.99.
No periods in there.
No, I didn't say that.
But yeah, under 5K, and we do have we've got an 8% discount if you buy 12 or more, and we got a 10% discount if you buy 30 or more, and there's also a 2% discount if you pay in a type of cryptocurrency. So you can combine that with the other discounts. So you can get it for substantially cheaper than under $5,000. And yeah, this is
where's Crazy Eddie? Where's Crazy Eddie these days? We need him on this call. These prices are insane. No, it really is.
I don't think you want to know where Crazy Eddie is.
I don't think I do either. But I just if maybe I'm okay. Don't even bother looking them up. Okay, he was very excited about his product, just like we are. So all right, moving on. So I wanted to get into this before I get into the next question, which is just very exciting. But price points. So as far as transaction fees, what do you see as an average for operators for what they're charging on transactions?
It really depends where it is, but we see between 15 and 25%. Usually nothing falls outside of that.
Yep.
So do some operators? So it's up to them as to what they're charging, even per
Yeah,
machine,
it's up to
correct?
the operator, whatever they want to charge. And certain locations are more competitive, so the rates will come down a little bit. But most locations that you're going to put them in, there's still wild, wild west. It's still a lot of places to go. So
Yeah,
charge whatever you want.
and that's here in the States. Outside of the States it's so wildly
Yeah,
variable.
it's different. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
every country, every region's different. You'll see different prices there because it's all about it's what's the cost for me for security, collecting cash, banking, compliance, and once you calculate all that, that all is factored into what a lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm just going to charge 5%. I'm gonna become a millionaire. I'm like, you're gonna become
No.
destitute if you're charging 5% here in the United States. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, there's an overhead, there's a cost of doing business, so you have to charge what you're worth. And it's not if it was easy to turn cash into Bitcoin, then everybody in the world would have a Bitcoin ATM out at their end of their driveway, but it's not that easy. So that's why there's a business. And people that understand that you gotta work in a business to make a business work, they're the type of people that get into the Bitcoin ATM business. It's not a hobby, just plug in, I'm gonna have a good old time.
So a business background certainly wouldn't hurt. But at the same time, too, since
Well,
the industry itself is still relatively new, I mean, I think I can still get away with the same joke. I think I still say that Bitcoin itself can't even buy alcohol, or drive a car. But as far as the software itself, I mean, and just the functionality, I mean, it is relatively new. So if I'm walking into this business as a new operator, how much confidence can I have in using the software, learning this, that
Yeah,
sort of
the
thing?
software is not going to be a problem. I mean, we certainly have catered the software to be simple to use. We have help systems. We have support anytime if you have any problems. But most operators within a week of using it pretty much know the system. Yeah, they're in and out of the systems all over the place. So
Okay.
it's not an issue. It's like any piece of software. Once you first look at it, it's like, oh, what is all this stuff? But it really is simple. And it's broken down very simply so you can get like a general view and then you can drill into all the details that you need. And eventually you just know where everything is. And it's pretty simple to use. So the
yeah, once
software
you
shouldn't be an issue. And again, we have 24 support, so you can message us, email us, call us, whatever, and we'll explain it to you. And usually it
yeah,
takes one
and
one
what I've
one or
noticed
two
with
calls to new operators, and they're off and going, and that's it. They don't need that kind of help anymore.
what I've noticed with new operators is once they start getting some transactions, they start realizing some bells and whistles in our software. And like, oh, that's cool. This is cool. Okay, because
Yeah,
you don't notice that until you start getting some transactions. And usually the first, if you're starting, it's like any business. When you're starting a business, it's a little frustrating in the beginning. But after about 6 months to a year, you got a good operation going on. It's a well-oiled machine at that point. There's no more, oh, I need to contact tech support to see what I got to do here, because you just grow into the business. And usually after a year, everybody's like, yeah, I'm like a pro Bitcoin ATM guy now. Why? Because I run my own business.
yeah. And one thing Keith was just mentioning is it takes a little while. When you're first starting off, your first machine, you put it out there, it takes a couple of months until that thing starts producing. It's not gonna, you don't put it out there and all of a sudden they're coming knocking on the door and go, oh, look at Bitcoin ATM, let's throw. It doesn't work like that. And so people get discouraged and and you gotta hustle. I think I saw a question here about, the store owners and what do we say to them? We say here, we need, 4 square feet on the floor and here's $300 a month. Do you want it? And then they're like, well, what is it? It's legal, then and they don't really need to understand. If you try and go in there and sell them on Bitcoin, they're going to tell you to get lost. Don't talk about Bitcoin. Go in there and they're retail people. They understand square footage and how many dollars they get per square footage. And I guarantee you the potato chips he has sitting over there still are not going to earn what I'm going to pay him for 4 square feet on his floor. Not to mention the traffic and things like that I'm going to bring into his store. Those are the things that we talked to them about. And if they're not interested, I don't know. I don't see that. I mean, I've heard about it, but I guess I bat 100 when I go in. I don't have that kind of problem. I go in and they're open to it. So
Yeah, and when I find locations, one of the things I like to really iron in is I'm a local guy. Here's my personal contact. You can contact me. This way they feel like, compared to the big guys that come towards them, guess what? You're gonna get somebody answers when you call me. Because if they got a problem, they want that connection to the company, right? And so that
true.
sells on the location.
That helps a lot. I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you just gotta hustle and just go door. I mean, listen. At one point, we just had somebody dialing up places and finding locations, and that works too. And that's easy to do. Just and then you don't have to visit so many locations. But frankly, what we do now is we just go around and visit locations and say, hey, you want to do this? And I don't know how many locations we get this week. Just stopped in a few stores.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah, try it a few different times. I've done it myself. I've gotten to the point where I just walk in and just say, hey, doing a couple $100 a month. One of the best things that I've done too is you can go in a completely gold suit, rose gold glasses, and just throw money everywhere, and then just walk up, buy a coffee, and say, "Hey, do you want some of this?" That's usually a good approach too. No, I mean it is. It's just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they throw you out. So, but I mean, that's it. You're going in, you're helping them make some money, developing a relationship with them, and go from there. So, what's the next question that we had? There was a question that I had in the chat that I liked, and I lost it. Give me 1 second here, fellas. And man, so as far as we've talked a lot about Bitcoin and we've talked a lot about cash, but what other functions are available on the machine? So one of the questions was, are there other cryptocurrencies that are available for customers to purchase, and can traditional ATM operations happen on this too? Like, can you make a traditional ATM transaction?
No to the traditional ATM transactions. We don't do them on this machine. It'd be very difficult to get a bank to or merchant account that would do both of this. And we haven't seen that. So we don't do that in the United States. What was the other question?
The other question was other cryptocurrencies
other
besides
coins.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. We do have other cryptocurrencies. We don't sell them on our machines. The ChainBytes machines do support it though. I don't know how many cryptocurrencies are on there, Keith.
It's hundreds. Typically, yeah. So if somebody wants to add a new token that's got like 5 people in the world to
Yeah.
have it, then you don't want to add it to your machine anyways. But it's the big boys, all the ones that are going to make you money versus
Yeah,
that.
there's Ethereum and Doge and all that stuff, but people aren't they're coming to the machine to buy Bitcoin. They're not coming to the machine for this. So you'll find very few transactions on this. And if you're successful with it with some other coin, more power to you. Let me know. I'd be happy to find a location, but I haven't seen it yet under anybody's umbrella. So I see here, he mentioned that other companies have these coins. They're probably not selling them. They just use it as a gimmick to get people in, but they're probably selling very little. But you can. We give you the option. That's up to you. I don't think it's a good business decision, but
Well, and we've had customers do it, and what they've done is they've actually stopped doing it.
right.
Right.
I know. Everyone
I was gonna
thinks
bring that up
it's a
too.
good idea. Like this Ethereum and everyone's gonna come. They're not. They're not. They're gonna come. They're gonna buy Bitcoin and they're gonna go swap it out for Ethereum somewhere else. But try it. Prove me wrong. I would love to eat my words and see somebody actually successful at this because I wish that worked.
Sure. You could put
So,
a Doge BTM on another planet or something like
Well,
that.
we had a
yeah.
Doge machine for a little while. The
No,
only
the
person
Doge
who bought
machine
Doge
is
was
neat.
Keith.
Yeah, if you scroll down on the ChainBytes YouTube page, which you should all subscribe, and same with all of our social media, there is a video of Toshi
Oh, we did
Yeah.
a Satoshi buying
buying Doge.
Dogecoin on one of
Yeah.
our machines.
Yeah.
That was cute.
My pet dog.
He's the only one buying Doge on our machines.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, dog. Right. So what does that tell you? All right.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we bought that much. And I think it was actually Keith's money. So some other questions that came in. We can get to that. Okay, there's another one coming
This
in.
is
But in
around the
meantime,
corner for me. Bitcoin Depot is charging 41%. 41%.
Oh, I saw
Holy
this one.
crap.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's out of the band. I said 25. Jesus. Okay,
So there's a
Rocket Coin
comment in
23.
here. Yeah, there's a
You
comment in
just
here
charging
that says
21.
two competitors' names that say pretty high numbers. Obviously, I wasn't sure if we were going to say them, but it sounds like we are.
Oh, I know, it's in the thing there. Okay, well, yeah, sorry. Whatever.
What are you sorry
Well,
for?
I don't
They're
think
not the
they
one
do that
charging
everywhere. I think
50%. Right.
I think certain markets they do that, and I don't think they do that everywhere. But
Sure.
yeah, if you're offering 21%, I would make a bigger deal out of that because the customers going to those other machines maybe aren't even aware of what they're paying. A lot of customers aren't aware of what they're paying.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen some operators that are our competitors' machines. They've got, a variable 5% difference between two locations, which are 20 minutes from each other. And I think that it is different markets that they're doing that in. But it really that is pretty high. That's the highest I've ever heard. And maybe
That one's high. That's wow. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
if
because
they're using it,
I saw them at 22% like 2 weeks ago at another location. So
Yeah, the comment that
yeah.
we were
So
just talking about was a comment that came from one of the operators that says that they charge 21% and offer a discount code, which you can do as an operator. I got to imagine,
well, that's a good approach. Get
it
signage
is a
out
really
there.
good
I
approach.
would say do better signage than the other guys, and you'll capture the customers from the other locations when they have problems or the machines aren't working.
Sure.
You'll capture them.
All right.
You want to talk about this banking question? He also put in a banking
Yes.
question. Won't mention the bank because we love that bank. Um, yeah, I mean, so the number is an arbitrary number. It depends on the bank, right? So have you gone to credit unions? Have you gone to your local bank? Do you have a relationship in other businesses? Those type of things. You go in there, talk to them, tell them what you're doing. You should definitely go in there with a compliance program. And I don't know what to tell you. Like you'll find somebody. Like you just keep going door to door. Yeah, banking is tough. They don't necessarily like you. It gets worse. It gets better. It gets worse. You have a bank account, so you need to have a couple of bank accounts just to make sure that you're operational. For sure, it's a risk.
Have a few.
But there's but the bank the bank that you mentioned isn't the only game in town. That's the easiest one that everybody knows, and they send them there because they're catered towards MSBs. But they're very strict as to how you're going to be operating. They're going to control how you operate, and there are certainly more than that banks that will allow you to do this.
Okay. So can we talk about online marketing? You talked about physical marketing, and that's good too. But online marketing is important too. So what about listing on places like Google, Facebook, uh, you know,
Absolutely.
Maps, all
So
those things?
we have a API into Coin ATM Radar, which is your primary listing that gets disseminated from there to lots of different places. And then, yeah, certainly Google. And Google's a pain in the neck. So get that started. As soon as you get the location, get it started, get your location put on there, get a Google place put in there. Once you're in there, that's going to attract a lot of attention. That's your best online marketing dollar spent right there, getting that done.
On Google, and so you said Coin ATM Radar, right? For sure,
Yep.
be on there. Okay.
Yeah, it'll automatically once it's set up, Coin ATM Radar automatically pick it up. You just set up your company and any machines that you add in there will automatically be updated there. And then
Okay.
I don't know how many different places it gets aggregated to from there, but
Lots. What about other maps? Like Apple Maps, Waze.
yeah,
they don't like
definitely.
crypto.
They're all
But
up on that too.
Google's the big boy on the block when it comes to maps.
Yeah,
So
Waze is owned by Google, but they won't let us put anything crypto on. Like we can't put our machine as a location on there. I don't know if that's still the case, but that we could probably check
Okay.
again. But that's the way it was. And I think Apple we did get listed. Yeah, but like you said, Google's the only one you really care about. The rest of them kind of pulled from there anyway. So it'll eventually get everywhere.
yeah, I don't think Apple's a problem whatsoever. And I think they're easy
Yeah,
to
I
work
don't.
with because they're looking for business. So,
Yeah, Waze was the only one I know that said absolutely we can't advertise on there.
the
But I
thing with
still think they pulled from Google. I think we're still on there, just not. We can't advertise on. I think we can't pay to advertise on there. I think that was the deal.
yeah, the thing with Google is to set up a business profile. Like you have to go to the location. You got to film outside of
Oh,
the street signs, and then you have to show that you have possession of the machine. So you need to have a machine before you list. You have to have that machine at the store because you got to open it up and show that you can get in and out. Now, don't show your S&G pin code or anything. Just show, hey, look, the key works, and then move your camera away, type the pin code, and then show that you can open the safe, stuff like that. And we've only learned this through trial and error many a times, because they kept on rejecting. And once they reject one of your businesses, they start rejecting all your businesses. So Google's a real pain in the butt, but it's something to be prepared to take care of for each one of your locations. You also want to kind of incorporate the way that you deploy your machines to have this all as one operation. So you take your machine, you're taking it there, it's ready to go. You
we should publish our checklist. We actually have a checklist that we go
Yeah.
through in our operations company to make sure that we hit all these different points. We should release that. Why don't we make a note to do that and release that? So
Making a note.
that's helpful.
It is.
You don't have to do it
because-
exactly like we do it, but there's literally the blueprint. So if somebody's
It's a good
asking for
guideline.
the blueprint, there it is.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
make
let's-
sense to keep going back to the location. So you might as well take care of your marketing, deploying in the machine, and getting your Google and getting it all taken care of, your videos, your photos, everything that you could possibly need at that location. Get it done in one trip.
Yep.
And
Hang on
then
1 second. Let me take a look at the. Yep, here we have it right here. It's on our internal platform. I just checked. All right, so but I wanted to ask you another question. You brought this up earlier. I love you guys. You guys are a lot of fun. And shout out to everybody watching too. Thanks for I do love you too, genuinely. I want to talk about social media marketing, because there are ads you can pay for, and then there's just straight posts, reels of what you're doing. So even you talked about even just walking into the store, recording yourself, recording a whole bunch of videos. I mean, recording maybe 10, 15, 20 times doing that, and having these videos set up so that you can post them throughout the week or throughout the month. Do you notice an effective, do you notice any difference in what's more effective versus sponsored ads versus the ones that are just
yeah,
reels?
just short video clips, the shorts, the reels, TikToks. And then you can take those, you can make them Facebook post or X post. But
we're not really doing social media like I think most people do. I think what we're doing is showing people the experience they're going to have when they use the machine to make them comfortable before they get there. So we just kind of put that out there. So if somebody's going to look and they're, oh, look, there's a video on that machine that I'm going to go visit. Let me watch. Oh, that's how I use it. And so it's more for that, and I think people use it for that.
And
too.
it's for
So we just
building
make more
that,
of it.
and it's for connecting to our website and our Google. So then it's building our SEO. That's the main purpose of all the posts. But yeah, like you said, it makes it, hey, look, it's cool, it's easy to do. It's got some, so then people go there and they're like, hey, I don't hear any music like in the video, but But it's really easy to make these videos. Some people ask me, oh, what production company should I hire and stuff like that. I make them with my phone. I downloaded an app. I pay 80 bucks a year for the app, and then I can sit there and I go pump out all these videos, and I can make them, in not that hard for anybody to do. I mean, a couple years ago, you needed a supercomputer to do it. You don't need to do that anymore.
So a question came in that it's itching me to answer, and the answer is yes. So I'll just spoiler alert, the answer is yes. But the question was, should I have a website? Is it valuable? In my opinion, yeah, you should have a website. Of course, you should also have every social media is at least a big 3, if not 4. But a YouTube page, an Instagram page, a TikTok page, and Twitter for sure. But YouTube, TikTok for the top ones. You don't have to become the next big social media influencer, but I mean, look around. I mean, look over the past 10 years. People that were just driving taxi cabs ended up, filming themselves and became, super Instagram stars. Who knows? That may end up taking off in addition to your BTM business. But bottom line is just letting people know that you're out there. 11 out of 10 people are looking at their phones when they're walking down.
You have to have some presence. It's not going to be your best avenue for doing it, but you have to have some presence. And so they just want to see that you're alive and you're not some scam company. They may put a lot of money in there, and so that, if for nothing else, it gives you some credibility. But it's not your best venue is what Keith was talking about earlier with the signage and the physical locations. The rest of it is supplements that. But
you need to answer your phone. You need to answer your phone. I can't tell you
Yeah,
how,
you need good
like,
customer service. Otherwise, they're not going to come back. That's another problem, sir.
yeah, if all you got is an email address and they send an email and they don't hear from you for a week, guess what? Your business isn't going to be staying too long. So you really have to have a phone number that people can at least leave a message that you can get back to. And you know, like you said, people are putting a lot of money in your machine. I mean, if you put a lot of money in a machine, you don't hear from somebody for a couple days, what would you be freaking out? Yeah. So it's good to have a phone number, you know, available, and then have all that tied to your website because you're building SEO for your business. This gets you a bigger footprint online. These things take time to grow. So if you do one thing at a time, you just keep on putting it together, before you know it, you look back and you're like, look at all these backlinks I got. Look, you know, I'm getting views on my YouTube. I'm getting subscribers. I'm getting people coming. They're finding me on Google without me having to have $1 million in a bond to get an MPL in so and so state. So there's ways to do this.
Right. All right. Anything else? You may have another question or two trickling in from our participants, but Keith, any last words for this webinar? Because there's always going to be more, but
You say there's another question?
I'm seeing if it looks like there's one typing, so I'm just trying to buy time as it's coming in. Listen, this is what I do, baby. All right, now, oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
this is an important question. So here, I'll kick this one off. What's the process in buying a machine? So now what? So I just watched this whole webinar. I sat through this whole hour-long video almost. I want to buy a machine. What do I do?
Oh, real simple. Give us a call. Reach out to us on our website. You can shoot an email and we can schedule a consultation. If it's after hours, somebody's not there, they're on the other line, leave a message. We'll get back to you. And then from there we can explain to you, about Bitcoin ATMs, the Bitcoin ATM business, everything you need to know about the whole purchasing, buying, selling, software end of things, whatever you need to know, really. And then it's just a matter of, getting, once you send us the money, we will send you the Bitcoin ATM.
And about how long do you think that would take? So once I'm finally through all this, however long the decision takes me, whether it's 3 minutes or 3, days or 3 weeks or whatever, once I finally do that, how long can I expect?
With the Bitcoin ATM?
Yeah, from my machines to get here.
Yeah, it depends how many you order, but typically 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I can only order 300 for my first order, no. So, but as far as payment goes, we know that. Okay, cool. That's not too bad. So you mentioned before about paying in Bitcoin. I know that we didn't go into too much detail, but so how can people pay?
Well, there's a 2% discount in Bitcoin, and what we have to do is we have to get your company information and whatnot and send you a quote, and then we have a Bitcoin address, at the bottom of the quote. And once you send us the Bitcoin, the difference is instead of having to wait for the banking system, the order's processed immediately. So, once the Bitcoin's sent, hey, you're not waiting on a bank. You're not waiting on, time for a bank to settle its books, because Bitcoin settles in 10 minutes.
Okay. So I don't have to pay in Bitcoin. I can get rid of these dollars if I don't, want to keep them.
Yeah, we accept that.
We'll take those too.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, that's about it. So as far as contacting ChainBytes, you can go to chainbytes.com. You can hit contact us. The phone number's on their website. Our info's on there. You'll get in touch with one of us for sure. And like he said, if we're not around, we'll get back to you just about immediately. But any other last minute words, Keith, Eric?
Well, if you're in the Philadelphia area, I guess we're going to be down in Philly tomorrow. We're going to be doing a penetration test, correct?
Yes, a pen test. Yes.
And that's pretty exciting.
Cool.
Unlike our competitors, we try to break into our machines. Our competitors get broken into.
Well, we're not going to break into them. They're going to break into them.
Yeah.
Right.
So
hopefully not, but
yeah, you never know. But it is one of the things that we pride ourselves is security. So we're always testing and we're always trying. So we'll be down in Philadelphia tomorrow at an event down there. The
The
integrity.
integrity show. Yeah. Yeah, the
So-
integrity show. Yeah, no, that's exciting. It is. It's kind of like, hey, come try to break the gate open. So
Yep.
that's pretty exciting. So, all right, thank you everybody. Go to
Thanks, everyone.
chainbytes.com.
You got more
See you all.
questions, send them in to us. We're happy to answer them. Matt seemed like he had more questions, like he wanted to ask some more things, but I think Keith, you know him, so you should probably reach out to him.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your
All right.
tomorrow.